Kathy, okay. Tashi is here. Kathy is here. Hello, everybody. Tashi Dele. Good evening and good morning to all our participants. We wait for a few minutes to let everybody enter and to make themselves comfortable before we start the session. Before we start the session, maybe we can do some breathing exercise a little bit to calm our mind fully to this earth all the way. And then we start the session. This is Taranatha's method and Niguma's teaching of the breathing exercise that I'm about to teach. When you breathe out, and just simply keep your mind along with that breath. You don't need to count how many times. You don't have to count how many times you've been distracted or not distracted, or how many times that you have been able to continue without any interruption. You don't have to worry about all these things in the beginning. In the beginning, the most important is the quality of your mind, and that is more aware, and the quality of the mind and the quality of the awareness. And these are the two important things that you have to prioritize first. Because many of us, when we become Buddhist practitioner, we say, I should not be distracted. And then it becomes a little bit like a religious obligation not to be distracted. The mind itself is beyond religion, beyond race, beyond culture, beyond mentality, right? So therefore, in order to practice that, we need to approach with our mentality like that. So therefore, when we do the training for our mind with unbiased, non-religious perspective, non-obligation, and being completely genuine. So that's very important. So the meaning of genuine means having awareness of the mind and the quality of the mind itself. In the beginning, throughout the meditative journey, it will be seen as a two-pillar. One that is observing, one that is moving into the state of the mind or into our life. And ultimately, it becomes one over the time. But you don't need to push towards that. It becomes that over the time. So therefore, when we say the awareness of the mind has to be like this, simply when you're breathing out, simply your mind is along in that state without any fixation or grudge towards it, and just simply genuine and continuity of a soft and gentle awareness. It doesn't have to be something special. It doesn't have to be something extraordinary. The nature of the mind is ordinary. Our approach has to be ordinary. In order to lead in that path, we have to be genuine. In order to be genuine, we must have a clear, open mind that is non-religious and non-culture mentality, just a pure mind. So therefore, when you're breathing out, keep your mind along with it. And when you're breathing in, gently, as you are doing in a daily basis, and just keeping your mind along with it. And then doing 3 times like that. And then by the 3rd time, and simply dissolve the idea of following and rather simply meditate with a very gentle touch, with a very small glimpse of awareness of meditating, and then simply living in the state of the meditation. So that's how it should be. And then once you find some sort of discomfort, distraction in your mind, and then again, you breathe out, you breathe in, you repeat 3 times like that. And then by the 3rd time, again, you breathe out without seeking the destination of where the air went, and simply having this gentle awareness of meditation. Then again, when your mind is interrupted, then you repeat that again, like that. So that's the first method that we have to apply. Okay, so we do that for 1 minute, 2 minutes. Like I've always been saying, that do not prioritize time, prioritize the quality of the mind, and then the length of the practice will maintain by itself over the time. Okay, so you breathe out gently, and then your mind and your air along with it in, and exhale gently and naturally, and your mind along with it. Inhale with awareness, continuity with a gentle touch. And then again, exhale. Inhale. Then the final time of the exhaling, then you simply breathe out without seeking the destination of where the air went or where the air should be going, without any of this rigid mind, following that sense of breath, and then simply meditating, simply being present. Even if it's for a few seconds. And then when there's interruption, then again, you awaken yourself, resume that cycle again. So that's that. Of course, you have to be in the meditation posture. Yeah. I see some individual who are asking question about that, if there's a Spanish translators or if there's other translators. Just to let you know, this is only, of course, if you understand English, and then, you understand. But it's mainly for Mandarin and Cantonese audience. And then for all the different language selection, it's a different topic of the teaching, which is later in the evening, called Creation and Completion. So it's a different session, okay? Just to make our audience understand that you're not missing anything. And then if you still want to know everything what I'm trying to explain, then you can ask your spiritual instructor to help you and to translate for you afterwards. Okay. So we start our refuge prayers, bodhicitta, mandala. Then we start our the niguma, the Lady of Illusion, and then the essence of Ambarosa. Okay. Sanjin Chudan Soge Chonam La Chanju Bandu Dane Jasus Dage Jinsu Gibe Sonam Gen Rola Penjire Sanjin Druparasho Sanjin Chudan Soge Chonam La Chanju Bandu Dane Jasus Dage Jinsu Gibe Sonam Gen Rola Penjire Sanjin Druparasho Sanjin Chudan Soge Chonam La Chanju Bandu Dane Jasus Dagi Jinsu Gibe Sonam Gen Rola Penjire Sanjin Druparasho Sanjin Chudan Soge Chonam La Chanju Bandu Dane Jasus Dagi Jinsu Gibe Sonam Gen Rola Penjire Sanjin Druparasho Semje Tamje Dewa Dan Dewe Judan Dembra Juje Donga Dan Donga Enge Judan Jawan Juje Donga Mebe Dewa Tamba Dan Mendra Wan Juje Nyere Chadan Yedan Tanyom Chembola Nebra Enjurji Semje Tamje Dewa Dan Dewe Judan Dembra Enjurji Donga Dan Donga Enge Judan Jawan Juje Donga Mebe Dewa Tamba Dan Mendra Wan Juje Nyere Chadan Yedan Tanyom Chembola Nebra Enjurji Semje Tamje Dewa Dan Dewe Judan Dembra Enjurji Donga Dan Donga Enge Judan Jawan Juje Donga Mebe Dewa Tamba Dan Mendra Wan Juje Nyere Chada Nyedandru Tanyum Chembola Nebra Enjurji Changza Wadan Chujin Shapa Dan Jesu Yerang Kushin Sowayi Gyawa Chungse Dage Chisaba Tamje Dage Changchub Chembolongo Sashi Peshi Chungshe Medo Chama Rao Linshe Nyede Jembande Sanje Shindo Mede Boa Yen Drogo Namda Shin La Ju Varasho Padenzave Lama Rinpoche Dage Jo Bimende Jula Gatin Shimbi Kone Jizunde Kusun To Gengo Jung Zando So. So I will start with the Niguma, Juma Lamrim, the path of illusion. Like I have said before, the path of illusion have the meaning of the path of illusion, you know, in Tibetan we say Juma Lamrim. It does not mean that everything has to be seen as an illusion from the beginning. It is rather to be understood as an illusion over the time as a practitioner. So the way you interpret, you know, to your mind and to yourself have to be careful, okay? Because when we say everything is emptiness, for one individual who have not understand any meaning of emptiness, it can be dangerous when you say everything is emptiness. It can be unreasonable. It can be beyond logic for that individual. So just like that, when we say the path of illusion, the teachings of Niguma, and then we assume that everything has to be seen or should be seen or forced to be seen as an illusion. And that is a big misunderstanding, and that is completely incorrect. So the path of illusion, it means that over the time, you will reach to that destination of understanding and that realization, you know, so basically absent from all the fixation mind. So, last time where we have left off is yebdang kado dongadang leri drupa ringate chen nang dang dongba ni gedang zo dong song jo ko kan shi 다지 본바데 예메까만 상월 대외 천리선바데 죄미 시바시바차 강라 데서메도바 데니 쿠스므랑샤데 살라메도 키뉴스 대양신의 하도니 송도 드베 치더니 라나메 비치더니 쳔반 안델레 암시자 네고 총에 봉지진 개원은 당도네 추닝 주마 톱된도 소소배나 졸라모. So like when we say in Buddhist practice, we say the path of creation, the path of accumulation or creation, and then also the path of the ultimate practice, the path of non-duality. You can say the Choklam, we can say Choklam, Jorlam, or you can say Kunzo, Pendam. So it has a different meaning. I mean, it has a different wording. So one is based on all the practice based on duality, and one is a practice based on non-duality. But the non-duality practice has to be applied over the time. Once you have established some sort of foundation based on the duality of practice. So when we say duality of practice, that means awareness of the body, awareness of the mind, and awareness of our way of perception. So all combined together. It is not somehow separate, or it is not something new just because of the Nibuma teaching. It is a basic principle of all the Buddhist teachings, whether you're a follower of Mahayana, whether you're a follower of Tantrayana. So the most important is the combination of the body and the body, speech, and mind combined together, and that sets some sort of a gradual progressive steps to to make a solid realization over the time. But in the beginning, we have to distance ourselves from the idea of the non-duality as much as possible. However, you are not absent from having this analytical approach about the nature of mind. You can still argue, you can still debate, you can still discuss, you can still attempt to practice. Absolutely. There's nobody who's blocking things in between. But the one that makes the real push, the one that makes the real change and the progress is coming down to the creation stage. So the creation stage, based on the body and mind all together, body, speech, and mind all together, also has a different categories that we need to understand over the time. It's not just something that I'm feeling good today, so therefore I think I'm doing good today. It's not just based on the feeling. It's about having an analytical approach to the body, speech, and mind, and how we practice and what are the practice that we combine together. And it's a little bit like an instrument. When you have a stage instrument music, whether it's a Tibetan music, whether it's a Chinese music, whether it's a Thai music, whether it's a Korean music, whether it's a Western instrument music, doesn't matter. So when you have all the different instruments playing together, it creates its own beauty, right? It's not just a one singular instrument, it is all the combination. So just like that, in the spiritual path, there's a combination of all combined together and then put together with the genuine mind and practicing along that way, and that gives you a closer step to the non-duality path or the non-duality practice. 대양 신의 하도니 송도를 치더니 라나메 비치더니 침반되는 시자 대과 중에 본지신. So like here it says the foundation of the practice starts from the shamatha and the vipassana. So shamatha vipassana means a shine practice. Shine means a calm meditation. Thakdong means an analytical meditation. So the calm meditation and analytical meditation, both of these practices is seen as universal. It's not something that belongs to the one lineage or one tradition. It belongs to all the tradition. It belongs to all the lineages. It belongs to all the Buddhist practitioners in general. So that's something we need to understand. The foundation of making a progress spiritual path is based on analytical meditation and a calm meditation. So with these two combined, and then such temptation of negativity towards negativity to accumulate such negativity action will dissolve. Such positivity, even it is something very small, that is something that nobody is watching, and yet you have sense of joy and willing to do, even is a very small piece of positivities. So in order to reach that quality of mind, it is very important to establish ourselves with a calm meditation and analytical meditation. So calm meditation and analytical meditation, you don't necessarily have to take all the refuge and everything. It is optional, let's put it like this. Of course, it's good to take a refuge, to be more grounded, but the practice for all of us is not preliminary practice. It is shamatha and vipassana. That is the beginning of all the practice. Because the preliminary practice can be a primary practice. That's what they said in the traditional text. And also you have to understand that when we say a preliminary, you are not absent from visualizing anything. You have to visualize everything. And that requires the strength of your awareness and the strength of your foundation of your mind, and also the accumulation qualities of your mind. So it requires all these things. It does not say just because you finish 100,000 of this and 100,000 of that does not give you the recognition that you have done the preliminary. The meaning of the preliminary means cleansing your mind and the body and the speech. But in order to cleanse that body, mind, and speech, you need to have some sort of ground. And that ground, that surface, is calm meditation and shamatha and vipassana meditation. And that is very important. It does not mean that you have to do shamatha and vipassana for years and years, but at least symbolically, as a Buddhist practitioner, it's good to practice shamatha and vipassana because it gives you some sort of stage where you can, whether you want to jump or whether you want to walk or whether you want to run, whichever the path you may choose, that foundation as a shamatha and vipassana practitioner is a fundamental for all the people, whether you are seeking pleasure in life and life only and nothing beyond life, or if you are a Buddhist practitioner, a self-Buddha enlightened path, or whether you are Bodhisattva, Bodhicitta practitioner, we say Changchu Semba, Rang Sangye, whether you are Rang Sangye practitioner, whether you are seeking only for the good and meaningful things in next life to be born in heaven, or whether you want to be born as a Bodhisattva and a continuity of the activity of the Bodhisattva, regardless of 3 different stages, some sort of foundation in your mind is required. Like an example, when we say Tsulchen, the right action requires the awareness. When you don't have awareness, you don't have the right action. When you don't have the right action, whatever the discipline or the vow you speak of has no value, has no meaning. It becomes ceremonial. And Buddhism is not only about ceremonial. It is about making an important impact in our life as a practitioner, and also to be the reflection of inspiration to all the other people throughout your lifetime, to encourage other people as a Buddhist practitioner, as a reflection of truth that is beyond the illusion. And that is very important to see it that way and to believe that way and practice that way. So therefore, shamatha and vipassana is important. Okay. So if you consider yourself as a Pantarayana practitioner, definitely it is very important. because you cannot visualize a deity based on your connection to your guru or your teacher. You cannot simply visualize or think just by having that does not give you any foundation. You can receive the great empowerment from a great master. And yet, when it comes to finding that balance, cultivating that practice into your life, still requires a foundation. Foundation is shamatha and vipassana. And it's not something that you have to separate from all the practice. It's something you can combine with all the practice. So that's something you have to keep in mind. Dikwa chune ponchishi, ngyawa nam tangdune, chunin yuma topdendu, choso pena cholamo, dela cheding chungsonde, rere layan shishindu, jemba shidan pomba shin, zuru gamba nam shiwo. So, like an example, the path of Toglam means the path of the accumulation. Right? The path of accumulation also has a different categories within the path of accumulation, like 4 different categories in each steps. Dela cheding chungsonde rere layan shishindu, and jemba shidan pomba shin, zuru gamba nam shiwo, pame tenyam tongweju, teche toman jemba shi, Ningbo melu jeweku, nandong yermen jumalam, chenda shishin yamsule, luge tempa nyeshapo. So the first step is luge tempa nyeshapo. Luge tempa nyeshapo means bringing the foundation to the body itself. Or you can put it like the basic foundation to oneself. Let's put it like this. A basic foundation to oneself is understanding the renunciation, understanding and understanding the meaning of the renunciation and seeking a Buddhahood. Right? And understanding the meaning of emptiness, understanding the importance of the emptiness, and understanding the importance of mindfulness. Nowadays, there's so many different mindfulness, because when we say mindfulness, many people assume it's some kind of organization that we are talking about. So Buddhist mindfulness and the social mindfulness is slightly 2 different things. Buddhist mindfulness is completely having continuation of awareness throughout the time as a practitioner. Like the social mindfulness is when we say, what is good for me? What is good for you? What is good for them? What is good for this? How you can be politically correct and keep things in harmony, keep things in transparency, and to, you have all the social structure. So the Buddhist mindfulness is separate from that. It's just simply continuation of the state of the positive mind of oneself as a practitioner, and not so much to do with other people in the beginning, because you have to bring certain balance to yourself first, and then you can benefit other sentient beings, right? That's the Buddhist approach. So the first is a physicality, physically having a sense of mindfulness to oneself. And then also understanding the sensation, whether it's a positive sensation, whether it's a unhappiness sensation, in understanding the meaning of the relative truth, the Dharma relative truth, and then understanding that reality, and then that's a sensorial understanding. And then the third one is all the phenomena is a manifestation of the mind. And then having an ultimate understanding over the time that the nature of the mind is not something out there, neither the inside, neither the outside, and then having that realization all the time. Semka mandun jumate semka champanya shabu. Nyente ranja tamjiki chini chosu tawai, mingzam tawa loburde, chuge champanya shabu. Migi dungan ju tele taba dobe, dignam dodo tabeche, yanda pawa namshine, digba migi payu chu, make pa na migi chi, dumbe bezo semzi chi, yanda rabdu joshit. Kanshin digba migi chu, keba namni pawa chi, dumba kedan belaso, konshin duni shebachi, gewe chun make, namni kebar chabechi, dumbe zowa kebadan bebe, beba laso konshin, gechukin. And then give it to convention to the shepherd child, go away, give it to Margaret, Namika, Demizon, Babala, so getting Pavanian, Chumisawa Cherish, and then the continuation of awareness, and then the such waste of time won't exist, and so on. Okay, so I think we stop this one right here. I think it's this is a Niguma's teaching, the path of illusion. I will resume for the next time. And then the essence of Ambarosa is starting now. Okay. So last time where we have left off is the first cycle of meditation, right? Yeah. Okay, that's where we have left off last time. Okay. So for the new audience who have a little bit of less idea of what I'm trying to explain, Lamrim is Taranatha's teaching. Lamrim is basically a guidance, instruction of, guidance and instruction combined together for oneself as a practitioner. Because I've seen and witnessed, and myself along with people, I've witnessed so many things about so-called Buddhism, and especially Tantrayana Buddhism. And many people, when they think about Buddhism, especially Tantrayana Buddhism or Vajrayana Buddhism, they assume that receiving empowerment is very important, finding guru is very important, and then offering money is very important. And that's not true, because Tantrayana is much more than that. But at the same time, in order to reach to the full capacity understanding to have any sort of realization in the Tantrayana path, we need to have a clear understanding of Mahayana as well. It is not an escape or express train. Many people, they view a little bit like an express train, or it's something more special. So therefore, not seeking of one's own capacity and then literally jumping over the cliff and saying that seems special, that sounds special. If they can understand, I can understand. That sense of encouragement to oneself tend to go in the direction combined together with your ego rather than the clear understanding of your own capacity. So therefore it's very important for all of us to have a basic understanding of Lamrim. And I think the Lamrim is very, very helpful to many people because it gives you the meditation, the analytical meditation. Most of the time when we speak about the shamatha and the vipassana, we speak about shamatha and vipassana a little bit like the analytical meditation. We tend to have a little bit of a limited view, or rather very much doubtful, extreme doubtful, not sense of content analytical approach. Because the way we have to practice our analytical meditation has to be with content and a gentle approach combined together. And that is very important as well. Because many of us, when we say analytical meditation, we kind of justify ourselves by asking too many questions. We say, ask any question, because we need to analyze, we have to debate. And then we ask so many questions that is not even relevant to ourselves, towards our daily practice. So therefore, this Lamrim gives this kind of gradual steps to how to sharpen our mind to analyze certain things, analyzing the reality of the suffering, analyzing the reality of the so-called life, analyzing the reality of heaven, earth, animal realm, demigod realm, hell realm, non-Buddhist, a non-Buddhist human being. How do you interact? How do you perceive to oneself about the Lord Buddha's teaching? And then also talking about the life and death, and also talking about the birth of a human being and the old age as a human being, all the sufferings. And then not just that, at the end also gives their teachings about the nature of the mind. So all of these things has been cut piece by piece so that we can consume the spiritual teaching and analyze and meditate. And that's why I like this Lamrim very much, because it's not just a teaching that I read, I talk, I read, I talk. It is a teaching that you think about it, you think about it, you think about it, and you meditate, you meditate, you meditate. And that is very helpful. And I think all of us, we need a little bit of that. Of course, I offer Niguma yoga practice for everybody around the world, completely for free, to have this pure connection to the Dharma without all this business or politics. And then, of course, the Niguma's teachings over here, and then also this Lamrim as well. So I think all this combination together is very important. Okay, so so this is the text I'm reading. Okay. Niba lamring kebo sungi sambala laba kebo chungo dan tumungi rimbala laba kebo chenbo tumong maybe rimbala laba de sumle tambo che soga suso chulo mindo tumun jizema jaba ba kaso dangagi rangi logi. So kebo sum, it means the one that has a small capacity of understanding. One, and then kibu ding. Kibu means individual, individual, that being. Kibu ding means medium, who has a medium understanding, a capacity of understanding. And kibu chembo. Kibu means individual, chembo means big, who has a vast understanding or vast understanding capacity. So these are the method that is applied for smaller individual with a small capacity, medium with a medium capacity, large with a large capacity. So that's, yeah. So this is not just instruction for one person, but all the different categories. Gashi Korea Dongala Samba Gozi, Gashi Lenden Gozi, Kibuntin Tumunga Gashi Danjuniagane Gozi. Pasha Chiwa Medabane, Gonzem, Naso Yujan, Tamji, Nejila, Tengitene, Kibame, Ranger, Chicha, Trasha, Danjuniagane, Gozon, Dega Medabogum, she, Yimbe, Medabogum, Gonzembata. So, like in a different tradition, different method of, different tradition. Some of them, they start with reflecting to oneself the meaning of life, or meaning of samsara, or meaning of death, the meaning of impermanence, the meaning of the cycle of sufferings, of the samsara in general. So different tradition has a different way of starting things. But like Taranatha himself, he said very clearly, they want to shena, Dela Danjunyaka Samba, Chiwa Metaba Samba, Nyanzo Donga Samba, Lenjune Samba Tishiwo. So it really doesn't matter because it is the same destination. Whether you think about the reality of the samsara, or whether you think about the meaning of impermanence, whether you think about the preciousness of the human life and all of these things, it really doesn't matter because whether you look on the left or whether you look on the right side, all reaches to the same destination. So then like keba namya mebale they want to shena tela danjunyaka samba. So first is first way of doing analytical meditation is tela danjunyaka samba. Danjunyaka samba means understanding, or at least trying to understand, the preciousness of human life. So in that topic, there's a different categories within that. So just keep in mind, okay? And this is a good time to write down all the notes so that you have a clear understanding of, what are the topics that we are discussing. Because I will ask you a question later on, because in France, I did that. I give a teaching and then I make sure that everybody understand, and I make them write down, and then I ask them question at the end of the session, what they have understood, from several points. So you keep that in mind. Otherwise, people, when they feel too comfortable, they think of receiving teaching a little bit like going to the spa, their mind is completely relaxed and gone, and they say, oh, it's a beautiful teaching. I like this teaching. I like his teaching. I like her teaching. And then all the key point is not kept in mind. And if we continue like that, it can be a really waste of time, so that's that. The first thing, the first part is Danjunyaka Samba, thinking about the human preciousness, human life preciousness, and also it will explain slowly over the time the reason why it is precious. Why should we consider a preciousness? So there will be reason why also. It's not just to think precious. Chiwa Medaba Samba. Chiwa Medaba Samba means thinking about the impermanence and death. Thinking about impermanence and death. It does not mean that you have to be sad and upset about it. It's just that studying through your mind and trying to find some meaningful reason out of it to reflect the truth to yourself. Ngensonggi Dungal Samba. Ngensonggi Dungal Samba. Ngensonggi Dungal Samba. Ngensong means the fallen place. Ngensong means the fallen place. Ngensonggi Dungal Samba. The place of the suffering. The thinking about the place of the suffering or the reality of the suffering. Dungal Samba. Lenjude Samba Shiwo. The fourth one is thinking about the consequence of the karma and the reality of the karma, or like that. Okay. So the four categories have been explained, and now I will go to the first one. So I hope that everybody listened to the first video of last month, so that you understand what I'm trying to explain, and especially this one, because when I say the first cycle of meditation, second cycle of meditation, third cycle of meditation, when I say that, or when the teaching says that, it means that each cycle can be used as a meditation session. That means you do the refuge, Bodhisattva prayers, the refuge prayers, and then you read this one a little bit, one line or one topic. You analyze, you meditate on that topic, and then you dedicate at the end of the session. So it can be 1 hour session or 20-minute session. So each topic is considered a session. So you have to think about it, okay? So it's not something that you have to force everything together. It's more to do with one topic, one session, second topic, second session, third topic, third session. So it can be considered like that. So that's why it says here that when you start this session, or when you're dedicating yourself in particular topic, you start with Chachu means a prostration, and then also offering flowers or incense to the shrine. And also all the prayers, the 7 prayers, like before. And then so and then make a prayers like I have explained to you before. So I will repeat one last time so that I don't have to repeat again. Okay. So how does the prayer sounds like, right? So like I explained to you last time, the 7 posture of Bodhisattva, the basic principle, which I don't have to explain to you. And then you make a Sangju prayer or any sort of prayers that includes the offering and confession from the bottom of your heart. And then the actual prayer is this one, with the refuge in the front. Chokjuna shube sanje de chanju semba tamjeta lama yangdaba yongin gewishin shimba dala gonsusu dala chingila dus dala chinjilo ge tematam nyawashi zedusu chinji malo bedowatam jigewan zedusu tekwa chimbe chudubula parjitam sewan zedusu. So if I translate correctly, is this one. Chokjuna shube, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in a 10 different directions, and also all my great Dharma instructor and the teachers, and please, I'm asking for you to be aware of my presence. Also, please bless me, empower me. All the negativity within my emotion, within my mind, let it be distant or absent from all of these things. And then all the genuine that is not opposite, let it be exist over the time and increase that qualities in my mind with your blessing. As I continue in the path of the Mahayana, please bless me to dispel all the obstacles. So this is the prayers that you do it, and then after that you focus on the one topic, and then you meditate, and then you do dedication, and then you continue the next topic in the next session. So that's how it goes. So now, now I'm going back to the current text. So when you are in this meditative state with a very clear mind, and then you say to yourself that I'm very fortunate. It is instead of saying I'm very fortunate, you say it is very fortunate that I found something that is very rare. Shindu nyebaka means I found finding something that is rare. Means I will not waste this life to meaningless journey. So therefore I will make this life meaningful from the bottom of my heart. I will do it. I will make it meaningful, so like that. You don't have to make it every day meaningful, every day throughout your life. It's almost impossible. We have so much burden in our society. But at least once in a while, when we're doing the practice, having that determination, it's good, it's necessary. Gomde, tela domni, nyawa yeda tundroda, lalo tsirin hadami, logda sanji kidongo, kuba de mekomje. So this is so now why we are fortunate. We say we are fortunate, human life, fortunate. Actually, if you look at the life itself, we are not really that fortunate, because there's a war, there's a how do you call that? There's a disease, there's a hunger, and there's chemicals around the world that has been suffering, and people has been suffering, and that's one thing in our modern view. In an ancient view, then it's like this. Nyawa means hell, to be born in hell, and why in hell we'll explain later also in the text. Yeda means the realm of the hunger ghost. Tundro means animal, insect or animal. Tundro. Lalo means ignorant. Tsering hadani means the gods who has a long life, who lose the touch with the reality. Lokta sangje, Lokta means the one who has an opposite view towards the Buddha's teaching, no matter the logic, no matter the reason, just extremely opposite view, out of jealousy, out of hatred, for no reason, so that is Lokta. Sanje ki Tongpa means being born in a time or the era that the Buddha did not exist. You understand? Buddha did not exist. The definition of that means Buddha came to this earth, the teaching exists, teaching continued for the next 1,000 years, and then for a certain amount of time, and then there will be a time that there's no teaching, there's no Buddha, there's no teaching, there's nothing. There will be a period of time like that during our humanity, not in our generation, but in a future generation. So being born in that time is like being born in the dark ages. We call it, like in the civilization, we call it the dark age, the bronze age, the stone age, like the dark age, like the unfortunate times. Like Lokta Sanji ki Tongpa, Kuba Deda Mikomje, and then Kuba Deda Mikomje, Kuba means completely ignorant. It doesn't mean disabled. Okay, Kuba means completely choose to be ignorant, because I don't want to. Kupa, usually when we say Kupa means like disabled. I don't want to say that, because all of us, we are disabled in some way. Some of us, we cannot see clearly, we cannot hear clearly, we cannot walk properly, we cannot eat properly, we cannot live properly. We are all disabled in some sort of way. So we cannot say that disabled human beings are less fortunate and not, and then the Buddhist practice, they cannot practice at all. It is not right view, because Kupa means ignorant, not disabled. So let me just be clear on that. So like when we are born in this three realm, how to say, then the bottom is last one is the realm of hell and the hunger ghost. So we, in the sixth realm, is sometimes we count as a three realm. So the three realm is the gods, the demigods, and then the second realm is human, and then the third realm is the hunger ghost and the animal, the hunger ghost and the hell and animals and all these things. And then when we are born in this three realm, we have almost no fortune to practice Dharma. Almost, we find a lot of distraction, a lot of other things. And then all the ordinary gods. So like even in the gods, there's a different layer. Okay, so let me be clear on that. There's there's a demigod's realm, and then there's a God's realm. So even in the God's realm, there's a stronger God, and then there's a weaker God. And then beyond the God, and there's this pure consciousness being, they are beyond the idea of sensorial satisfactory realm. They are beyond that. But they are very much fixated with their own idea of meditation. I wouldn't call meditation, we call tingin. So it's like some sort of meditation, and they get so fixated with that that they see nothing else other than that. So even in the God's realm, there's a different layer. So therefore, it's saying the Zukamdang, Zomekamge, Lapache, Tingin. So why Taranatha is saying this is because some gods, they have some sense of I'm the stronger God, and that is a weaker God. And then the higher than them is they are beyond the body, they are just pure consciousness. And the Zumekam, a very subtle level of the, the idea of appearance, their pure consciousness. But yet at the same time, they're very much fixated with their own idea of meditation, not necessarily the true meditation. And then, like an example, the realm of the demigods are so they have such jealousy towards the gods, and they also, become completely distracted like that. Sanje manjumbe jigden kamsu kebam, sanje jumbe shingamsu ya, chotarwe sachani jachung, cheme sacha yujo, tako lalu kebam, chotarwe yujo, kejan, lota jim, cho dangwam. So, and then now the next topic is sanje jumbe shingamsu ya, chotarwe sachani jachung. And even the teachings of the Buddha existed in our realm, in our fortunate realm, let's put it like this. And the places where the Buddha's teaching existed is very rare, and the places that the teachings of the Buddha did not exist or did not reach is very vast. And then, or we are born in a place and that is completely no name of Buddhism, no name of Dharma, no name of spiritual enlightened or so on. And actually, these kind of things still exist in our modern time. We think that we have this internet and then everybody is connected, but nobody is more connected. It's more or less remain as the same as before. People definitely have a lot of information, but having a lack of renunciation almost makes no difference at all. So that's that. And then even we are born in a realm where there's a Buddhist teaching, and sometimes we are challenged by the people who are not really Buddhist at all, and who kind of giving you the pressure not to be Buddhist and so on. Lenko sujune, landorgene, kaya, mingo wasone, chuchebe kabaya, mendo pale, dagetare, mikon bajele, losun jenusuro, lushi, todo nyambata. So therefore, we are in this circumstance, in this very moment, we are in this special circumstance, which is we are far away from all these unfortunate events or unfortunate places or unfortunate times. Domni, mini uge wangbosan, leta malo nelde, sanje chunda, tejuson, tempanel tejuju, so therefore, we need to consider ourselves fortunate because we all have our hands and fingers and arms and legs, and we have a brain that is, that has a logic, that has a common sense, that has a little bit of wisdom. We have all the foundation to ourselves to cultivate the Lord Buddha's teaching, over the time. So therefore, and also to consider yourself fortunate is because the Buddha was here in this earth and he gave teaching, and the teaching still exists, that we can still practice. So having that kind of appreciative mindset. 그래서 요 나와게 양거서 왕복 공화서 방랑시 롱 시기 따와라고 마트다 참여도 딱 로고다가 내자 마제자 네 담배 쇼도 되게 롱아 잔도 도베 랑겐 조왕아 참도 직den수 산제장 준신 담배 최장 송생 담바야 만나바네 쳐라 서든 주가 마을값이 최준 신기 인터뷰관에 세계 여지소장 대화모 나왜 최den게 저저도 롱에 값을 도베 신조하고 양달라상. So therefore we are all fortunate, let's put it like this, that we all know what are the extreme negatives, and then we all know the basic principle as a human being, as a Buddhist practitioner, and then we are in this very fortunate time where the teachings of the Buddha still exist, and the genuine teachings are still there, and the practice are still there. So therefore, considering ourselves as a fortunate being, that's important. 값을 도배 신중하고 양다 자 대다나 미공부제로 저와 주상배 린데다 신도 니까 값들이 쳐라 배고파도 냠빈 준센템베 권에 양양삼. So this is the second cycle of meditation. Okay, so the second cycle of meditation is 값들이 쳐라 배고파도 냠빈 준센템베 권에 양양삼. So now, therefore, all the 8 unfortunate events and places or time, and to the 10 positive places and the circumstance that is favorable to me. So therefore, I'm very fortunate and very lucky to be here in this very moment. But my luck and my fortune has to be shift into the direction of training myself to practice Dharma. And that is very important. That is very important. That is very important, to think like that. Not like, oh, I have to chant Om Mani Padme Hum, or where's the empowerment, or where's the deity. Not like that, but rather the human life is very precious. I'm born in a very fortunate time, fortunate to receive the teachings from the Lord Buddha's text. And, I'm not in all this unfortunate situation, the extreme negativities. So therefore, I'm very fortunate. And I will utilize this fortune, to the spiritual growth, to the practice of Buddhism and the Dharma and the Sangha. I should really maintain in that way. And then you think about that, meditate a little bit, think about that, meditate a little bit, think about that, meditate a little bit. And that's the second cycle of meditation. Mikor nipao means the second cycle of meditation. And now going to the second chapter, which is the third cycle of meditation. Maybe it's a good time to ask, what are the 4 things that we have discussed? You can type it and you can explain, maybe. I said 4 things, remember? What are the 4 things? You can type it, then I can see whether you understood or not. Pressures in your human life, okay. And then what else? Human rebirth. Okay. Impermanence. Reflect truth. Karma, okay. Suffering. Impermanence. impermanence, suffering. Okay. Okay, so seems like all of you understood. Okay, so that's good. So I will just repeat the 4 things, right? Danjonyaka Samba, the fortunate of that we are in a fortunate circumstance, number 1. Chiwa Medapa Samba, in reflecting to the meaning of impermanence and life. 2nd. Nyenso Donga Samba, reflecting the meaning of the samsara, the meaning of the life or the cycle of life. Lane Junior Samba, thinking about the karma. Right? So these are the 4 things. The first chapter is completed, and now going to the second cycle of a way of meditating. So just like the previous one, it says, you make a prayer, refuge, renunciation, and then you do this analytical meditation, and then you make a dedication at the end. So yeah. So like now it's trying to reflect to the meaning of all the sentient beings. All the sentient beings that are going towards the samsara, it's immense, immense, immense. Right? Those who have reached to the enlightened destination are very, very few. Like an example, it's like a dust on the top of your fingernails. When you have one singular dust on your fingernails, comparison to all the existence outside, and that is how vast and immense it is. The comparison. So like an example, now the hell example is nyawani sashi chembu dutenzam yedane kawa puyuta. The count of all the hell sentient beings in the hell realm is like the singular pieces of sand in this earth. Like every single pieces, of piece of sand in this earth. That's a lot, and I don't want to even count. Okay. So in the realm of hunger ghosts is like a count of snow, like each snow. Dendu Jansu Chamber Pamatam. So like an example, the animal realm is like the raindrops, the count of raindrops. And then all the sentient beings, this is very very intelligent way of describing, you see. The sentient beings existed throughout all the different space, all the sentient beings, the animal realm, which is true, in a micro level of us, there are still sentient beings. The microscopic level, they are still sentient beings. Whether the size doesn't matter, whether they are cow, whether they are elephant, whether they are horse, whether they are dog, whether they are ant, they are all animals. And these are the things that we can see. And there's so many animals that we cannot even witness with our own naked eye. So it's immense. When you reflect, now I just want to share my thought. When you reflect in all these things, and then when you reflect towards your own pride, think of it, how foolish that is. You see all the numbers of sentient beings, like the hell realm, the sentient being, the amount of all the sentient beings in the hunger ghost, or in the animal realm, or in the hell realm, right? And you're there with your pride, thinking that will work out for you. think about it, just the magnitude, the size of that sentient being that has existed out there. And you're there with your pride and saying, I can manage this, with your pride. You cannot manage anything, with your pride. I mean, over the time, when you think about it in life, of course, it gives you a temporary pleasure, a temporary success, but ultimately it doesn't give you the real solution to be content and to be in a sense of joy, So, yeah. So that's just my idea. Because sometimes we are completely distracted and we are looking on the other direction and thinking that there is a different solution, 사실 반나 탐지 그냥 타다 민로와니 되는 되는 수는 도 되는 제 민로와뇽 그것은 잡는 so he's saying that first of all the human being is very rare, and especially people who practice dharma is even more rare. 다리치장 철라 배그 냠바다 대다래 중wen jun세야 심징게 나나 디베 레체븐 타메 게베 레체븐 치자 신도뉴. So first of all, there's a human being among all the sentient being is the rarest category, and even then the people who practice Buddhism, who connect with the Buddhism, is even more rare. So therefore, you have to be the one of the individual who reflects upon themselves and saying, oh, I should practice Dharma, I should practice Dharma, I should practice Dharma, having that kind of awareness. You don't have to think about it every day, but at least just try to think like that every once in a while to motivate yourself. And those who accumulate the positivities, those who accumulate the positivities are very, very rare. So it's saying that first of all, there's less practitioner, there's less human being, and then less practitioner, and genuine practitioner, even more less. Like an example, those who have the right discipline. The right discipline does not mean like a military discipline. Discipline, the meaning of the Buddhist discipline means when you have the renunciation, you have the awareness. When you have the awareness, you have the discipline naturally. The discipline doesn't have to be taken from somebody else. The ceremonial, yes, I get that. But the true meaning of discipline means understanding of your own reality. That is the meaning of Buddhist discipline. Like a military discipline, you say, oh, I can't do this. This is my country, their country, kill this, kill that. We have that kind of mentality, nationalist mentality, all around the world, same. And then like in the Buddhist way of that, in that mentality is, the disciplined mentality is having a clear understanding of renunciation. When you have understanding of the relative truth, you have understanding of the renunciation. When you have an understanding and the realization of the renunciation, then you have a genuine discipline, because you are not creating out of fear, because some may praise you, some may criticize you. You are doing simply because you know it from the depth of your mind. So that is the genuine discipline. Somebody said, talk to us about renunciation. Renunciation is something that has to develop over the time, and I will make it very short just to answer your question, is that renunciation is something that you must discover on your own. Buddha, he had his own version of renunciation. Milarepa, he had his own renunciation. Chumpo Nanjo of the Shambhakaji lineage holder, he has his own renunciation. Niguma, just like that. All the great Mahasiddhas and Bodhisattvas, just like that. They never copy each other's renunciation. They're inspired by each other, but they do not copy each other. They understand their own weakness, and they admit to their own wrongdoing, and they understand the cause of their wrongdoing, the essence of their wrongdoing, And then the more you try to analyze these things, the renunciation comes by itself. So therefore, with this lack of awareness, lack of well-being of oneself and awareness, then therefore there's a less human being. Jowa chu sanjin, chue dan jawa suno mambo sa gwebe. Tinta shindu nyebra kawa iya, wangi lenchi sawe, tare lenchin tobdu kandri chula bewa cha nyam tukum. And then once upon a time in my past, in the karmic life of my past, I may have accumulated one positive thing, so therefore I'm born in a human being and very fortunate to be here, so therefore I must use this for a greater purpose, with that kind of analytical meditation. So that's it. So this time we stop here, and that's the third meditation cycle. The page number is 455. 455, okay? 455, third line. That's where we have left for this time. And then now we make a dedication. And then we do a little bit of small question and answer. Sonamde tamje zigbani tomne nyebe danam pamje ni gega na je bala trowe siben zolan ro jo changju semjo rembo je mage banan ge ju ke ba nyam ba me ba kone kondo pe wara sho mama gombo na dani ge be je na ge semje ji mo ma so gombo la me dani ge be je na ge semje ji pa je ma le so. So I want to say thank you to all the online organizers and volunteers and translators. Thank you very much for spending time with us. And now we can start with the question. Okay. You can ask your question right now. So. Okay. How old are these teachings? These teachings is a few centuries ago. Taranatha is like from the 13th, 14th century. And but at the same time, all the teachings that he's giving is not invented by him. It's based on the teachings of the Lord Buddha. So that's something we have to understand. Lisa Smith. When one has a weakness that needs to be renounced, but it is strong and continuous and very stubbornly, how it can be addressed? So how can the best way to make a renunciation is to be patient. You are not in the school, you are not in a competition here with anybody. So take your time, practice, do a little bit of retreat here and there. Retreat, it doesn't mean months and months. It can be like 1 session, 2 sessions per week, dedicating fully to yourself. And yeah, so then the renunciation can come over the time. Because many people, when they make the mistake about the misconception of the renunciation, is they think that renunciation is out there to catch and grab and take it and remove it. And that's how they perceive it. And they are not looking on the other side, because renunciation is not something that you do that it matters. Renunciation is that you practice it, that matters, and that reality changes for you. You don't have to make the renunciation. The moment we push ourselves to make a renunciation, the moment we say, I renounce this and I renounce that, that is a very clear indication that you are not in the state of renouncing this and that. If you have to make an address, like an announcement, you say, from today, I renounce this, I renounce that. And that is a clear indication that you are not ready to renounce these things yet. Because you have this tendency that you need to speak out. You have this tendency that needs to be recognized. The more you have these things, and the less renounced you are. The more you practice with a genuine intention, all this obstacles or the renunciation will disintegrate by itself. It's a little bit like you hold a piece of sand with water and without water. When you have a piece of sand, in your water, and without the water, and then it dries, it goes by itself, right? And when you have a water, it stays some sort of shape. But when it has a water, when it has this heat, and that when the water dries up, and then it dissolves by itself, isn't it? So you don't have to make an announcement that I renounce this and I renounce that. Because the moment you are announcing, you are subconsciously saying that I want you to recognize my new behavior. I want you to recognize my new change, my new steps, my important steps. You are subconsciously doing that. You're basically saying in the back of your mind, saying that, look at me and my renunciation, right? So therefore, you are pointing at the direction of your ego, your self-clinging. So the more recognition you seek, like, look at me, the moment you have that kind of perception, then again, it's like, staying in the hamster cycle, So therefore, any sort of renunciation should not look for any recognition, should not make any announcement to oneself or to others. It should be by itself. And that is the renunciation. Like a Buddha Shakyamuni, when he removed his hair, nobody was there around him. He did by himself. He had this subconsciously, in his deeper mind, he had made his decision. In his deeper mind, he made his determination. So that is not the capacity that we have, but that is the method that we need to use when we say renunciation. So more we practice genuinely, the renunciation will come. Then when I say practicing genuinely, that means practicing with a pure intention, not pretending to be a pure intent practitioner, but rather pure practitioner, pure intent practitioner, not pretending to be a good practitioner, So that's it. Is it, Q Lee, is it possible to ask how to balance renouncement and the reality life? Like I said to you just now, practice genuinely with a pure intention, and then the impact of the renunciation will come by itself. Because renunciation is not a person that has existed, it's not a being that has existed, it's not an energy that existed. Renunciation is your realization. The more you seek for recognition, the less renounced you are. The less recognition you seek, the more renounced you are, for your progress. Because renunciation is linked with your self-clinging. There's no such renunciation without your self-clinging. Every renunciation is to do with your self-clinging. There's no such renunciation that existed on its own without the self-fixation. The reality, the energy, the resources of the renunciation, comes from, minimizing the self-clinging. So that's that. So that's it. So for this time, I want to say thank you to all our participants for being here. And if you need, this translation in your own language, then you can ask your own Dharma instructor, to help you, to explain to you. And so I want to say again, thank you so much to our translator here, Tashi and Kathy and Nick, and to all the other online organizer, Jasper, and all the participants. Thank you so much for your dedication of your time and being here and spending time with me. And the next time we will continue the same again and again. Okay? And so everybody, please be safe and practice good. And my prayers is always with you, with the blessings of the Siksa Mahatala. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you so much for your dedication. Bye-bye.